Welcome back to Sunnydaze Live. My name is Kylia.
And I'm Alicia, and we're going to talk about some fountains today.
And like always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat below, and we'll try our best to answer them live for you here. And as well as any of the products that we mentioned that are on Prime Deal today are going to be in that bottom carousel. So feel free to click through those and kind of shop around, and we will feature some fountains that aren't on Prime Deal, but shop those too, because those are also really cool fountains.
We're going to start out by talking about the basic parts of a fountain. Your most basic part of a fountain is going to be the base. The base is usually located towards the bottom of the fountain, obviously, and it houses the pump and all the various components of the pump, like the tubing, and the tubing is what connects the water fountain pump through the various parts of the fountain so that water can flow. And then the electrical cord, if it's an electric fountain, is also connected to that pump, so you're going to want to plug that into an outlet. And then we have if it's a solar fountain, it's going to have a solar panel, and that's going to have a cord that connects to the pump. And the great thing about solar panels is you can place them away from the pump, but you don't need to have it within a certain amount of feet of an electrical outlet. Or we also have solar on-demand fountains, which has a panel with a battery pack attached to it where you can operate that solar panel outside of daylight hours, like at night or when it's cloudy out. And next, a lot of fountains come with lights, or some will have an adapter for lights that you can add on your own. So those are another great part of fountains because it'll reflect on the water and it'll make a really great experience for using your fountain at night. Next, we're going to talk about fountain assembly. A lot of fountains will have the option to twist and lock. So this is usually an option on tiered fountains. Tiered fountains you'll put together level by level, and each level will twist and it'll lock just to remain stable. And then some fountains also have the ability to just be placed on one level on top of the other, and that it'll be engineered so that it's stable enough just by placing those levels on top of each other. And then another different type of assembly, we've seen this before on some of our fountains, it'll come with screws or bolts to fasten the various components of a fountain together so that it can be sturdy and long-lasting in your yard. There are many different types of electric fountains, and we're going to talk about some today. The first one, Kylia is standing over by a tiered outdoor fountain, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about that.
So this is a very traditional three-tiered fountain. It's made out of a poly resin material. We do sell these in smaller tiers, so you can get a little two-tiered one and a little guy. Otherwise, we do sell them up to like 4 or 5 tiers. We have like really large ones if you're interested in having like a super big statement piece in your backyard. These are really nice. Like I said, they're very traditional. They kind of fit with any decor, any backyard, any garden. The size you can kind of fit for what size yard or placement that you want. We offer them in a variety of colors. So this is kind of a darker one. We do offer lighter colors, cream colors. We also offer different toppers. So this is kind of like a traditional-ish topper. We have some pineapple ones too. This is just like a really nice, good starter fountain if you're not really sure about fountains and you kind of want to add something decorative to your yard. This is a really great way to do that. Overall, I just think this fountain is like really nice. It has a nice sound to it. It's just a really good, like I said, starter fountain. Alicia's going to talk to you about our unique bird bath option that we have here for you on display.
Yeah, over here we have, it's a real country farmhouse style milk can bird bath fountain. It's got a poly resin construction, so it's going to be long lasting, it's easy to maintain. When it's emptied out, it's easy to move, and the size makes it easy to store in the garage, in the shed, in the basement, in a closet for when you're not using it during inclement weather or during the winter.
And this one also gets put together with the set on, right? You just kind of set the top on.
This is just a set on, like you just set one level on top of the base.
So super easy to put together.
Yes, very easy. I really like the LED light that's in the top here. Water bubbles up through the base, and it just kind of gently circulates the water through. So this will entice birds to come in. A lot of birds don't like super fast flowing water, but this will be just enough to entice the birds to come, and it'll be just enough to deter insects and mosquitoes away from it because they often don't like moving water.
And this one also is really quiet too, so you really don't hear much of anything, just a small, slight humming from the pump as it works. But it is a really great option away from the non-traditional bird baths. So it's definitely something if you want to spice up your bird bath game. This is kind of a unique fountain bird bath combo situation, so definitely really interesting.
Right. Our next fountain that we want to talk about is this Rock Falls fountain here. This is a unique, like, if you want to add a natural element to your outdoor space, it's really great. I don't know if you can hear on my mic, but it's got a really nice rushing water sound. So that's really great in your yard to maybe drown out some excessive background noise. Or if you have really annoying neighbors that like to be really loud in their garages with their toys.
Or just like loud streets. It's just got like a really nice, strong, flowing water sound. It creates like a really nice backyard ambience type of like scene. I really like this one as just like an ambient noise fountain because of how loud it can get.
Right. And something I want to point out on this fountain is and it also has these splash guards right here. And while it doesn't keep the water from splashing out completely, it is an outdoor fountain. So if you have it in the grass, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But it does keep a lot of the splashage down.
And some of our fountains do splash more than others, and that's very typical of a fountain. That's why we call them outdoor fountains, not indoors. We don't want you to ruin your floors or your hardwood or your carpet. And so make sure that when it says outdoor that it actually stays outdoors because of this splashing. And sometimes you're able to control some of that with the pump and by adjusting the flow rate, like Alicia talked about during the assembly and the parts. But that doesn't always like completely take away all the splashing.
Yeah, it's really great. The flow. So if you want a little bit of a slower flow, adjust that switch on the pump.
And occasionally adjusting that flow can also change the sound of the fountain. Not on all fountains, it just kind of depends, but if that's something you can always try if you want to maybe quiet the fountain down.
Next we're going to talk about more modern options.
So it's going to be this slate guy over here.
Right, Kylie is going to show a great slate modern fire fountain.
So this one is unique, like I said, because it's a fire fountain. So it comes with this really interesting torque. You just simply, this is the little cap to protect it during when it's not in use, and then you just simply put that in the top of the fountain here. And like we said, this is made of slate, so it's going to be a little bit heavier than our poly resins. Definitely a two-person lifting job here. It has two parts. It has this fountain top, and then it has the base at the bottom. It's just a really cool, modern statement piece, especially with that fire. It's going to attract a lot of attention in your yard, especially when lit. You don't have to have it lit like we have it here. It's just kind of hanging out. If you're looking for something that is like a statement or like the showcase of your yard, this is kind of going to be it. I believe it is a prime deal today.
Yep.
So you can see it in the bottom carousel. So be sure to click on that and check this guy out. There's lots of details on his Amazon page if you want to learn more about it. Alicia is standing next to one of our decorative fountains that has a few interesting features, and she'd talk about that.
Right. This is a unique option because it's an actual wooden fountain. There isn't a huge market for wooden fountains out there, so they're kind of hard to find. This one has a fir wood construction on the barrels here, and it's got actual metal bands that go around the circumference of the barrels. And then it has a plastic liner, so that way you'll know that the water isn't going to hurt the wood, and it's going to last quite a bit longer. And it's just an electric fountain, so you just have to plug it in. Water flows through this decorative pump up here. It is not an operational pump, so we don't recommend trying to pump water out of it because it won't work. But it's really just meant for a decorative piece.
I really like that fountain. It's
yes,
like one
it's
of my
great
favorites.
if you have a country themed backyard, or if you just want unique to your garden. It's a really excellent choice. And next, Kylie is going to tell you a little bit about our saloon barrel fountain.
So this saloon barrel fountain is also a Prime Day deal, so that'll be on your carousel below. This is very similar to the other one. It's a decorative style of fountain. It's very not traditional compared to our tiered fountain on the other side of me. This one is in poly resin, so it's going to be that light material. It also is a little bit quieter than some of our other fountains because of these two streams. It has a nice little quiet type of flowing, consistent noise. This one also has an LED light in the bottom, so it does light up. The really cool thing about this fountain is it has this screen in it, just a little wet. And this screen protects your fountain and your pump from getting in like debris like leaves and sticks and whatever, sometimes bugs. And this just makes sure that your fountain and your pump stays clear of debris, because if debris gets in that pump or wherever in there, it's going to clog it up. Your fountain's not going to run right, and you run the risk of possibly damaging your pump. So this is a really unique feature to this fountain, and a few of our fountains have these screens as well. You just want to make sure that these stay clean. So if you notice that the leaves, especially in the fall, start to fall in your fountain a little bit, you definitely want to make sure this stays clean.
Right.
But they're super easy to take care of. You just slide it back in, just like this. Ooh, I got a little wet. So we're going to talk a bit about, we have one more
wall fountain.
We have our wall fountains. I almost forgot about those. So our wall fountain is over here in the little corner, and this one you can either, it has a flat bottom, so you can either rest it right here on the ground, otherwise you can put it up on the wall if you want to. This is going to have a nice little quieter, relaxing kind of flow to it. It's just a little bit smaller than some of our other fountains, so if you're looking for kind of a smaller option but you still want it outdoors, this is kind of one for you. It's got a really interesting poly resin mixture. It has, Alicia knows a lot about it.
Yeah, that's got a polystone construction. So polystone construction is going to be a poly resin mixed with a stone additive. The stone additive gives it a more stone-like texture and a little bit more of a stone-like appearance, but it's got all of the benefits of poly resin, being it's going to be more weather resistant, it's going to be lighter and easier to move once it's emptied out, and it's going to be easier to maintain than some other fountain options.
But yeah, this is just a really nice, like, unique kind of wall. If you actually put it on your wall, it's like got, a fountain stopper, a showstopper fountain. It's going to be on your wall. It's not really, you don't really see fountains on people's walls very often, so this is going to be a really interesting fountain for you. We're going to move on to some of our tabletop fountains.
Yep.
Did you want to start, Alicia, on your end, and I'll make our way this way?
Right. Down here I've got, for you ceramic lovers out there, I have a contemporary ceramic fountain. This fountain features this orb placed on top, and water bubbles through the top and spills over the round edges of the orb, and then it recirculates in the base. It's a really quiet fountain, and it's great for adding some extra tranquility to any indoor living space, like the living room or the kitchen or the office. It's also a great addition for an empty surface in the bedroom. It also comes with these polished river stones, so that just adds an extra decorative element to the otherwise very, very subdued fountain. Our next option here is a poly resin multi-tiered pottery fountain. It features, these little pottery bowls stacked on a brick staircase, and it's another quiet fountain choice. Water flows from the top and down each level and recirculates in the base. And our next one is actually one of our Prime Day deals, and this slate fountain features, a little metal element on top, and water flows through that and comes down over the rippled slate face of the fountain, or this unique copper accent piece right here, and it'll recirculate in the base again. It also comes with the decorative river rocks here, and it has a light in the bottom just for some extra ambience and just to make it extra eye-catching.
I also love this fountain because it's definitely like a kind of a statement piece, if you will. You can put it on your mantle in your living room, your dining room, and it's definitely going to stand out. It's going to be a really nice accent to really any room, and that color is going to just kind of work with really anything that you've got.
It really blends in with any decor scheme.
Yeah. So this next guy next to it is also a Prime Day deal, and it's a rock style fountain as well, similar to the larger one that we showed you, but this is just more kind of a mini tabletop version. I love this one because it has this fun little multicolored LED light in the base of it, and as the water kind of flows down, it ends up here and then again recycles in the base. This one has a similar, it's probably like, I think one of the louder fountains, tabletop fountains that we have up here right now. It has kind of a nice white noise to it. A lot of our tabletops can be used as an ambient white noise in the bedroom if you want, just to kind of, if you like more natural water flowing sounds versus like a machine. So these are, this one is really nice, but like I said, my favorite part is this little LED light in the bottom. The one next to it is kind of similar. It's still really natural, but it's more of a tree trunk style, so it's like a little bit, I guess, I don't know, another naturalist.
Another natural element. Yep.
Yeah, and this one has the 3 LED lights in this little pool, and then here, and then here. And it's also got these little filters to help with the splashing, so this one doesn't splash at all, which is really nice. So if you're worried about, oh my god, my tabletop's gonna splash all over my nice whatever you set it on, a lot of these all the tabletops are able to be inside.
Yeah, they're meant for indoor use. They're not intended to be used outdoors, so you really want to keep them inside.
Yeah, and all of our tabletops, as well as all of our fountains, they all have different sounds to them. Some are louder than others, so that's something you can listen for and try to figure out which sound that you like best. Because some are, like I said, are louder, so maybe you want more of a quieter fountain, especially if these guys are going to be inside. You don't want it to be like maybe overbearing. If you're going to put it in, you know, a bedroom, you might not want it that loud. So this one is also a Prime Day deal. So it's this one, in our slate fountain right here. You should be able to see on the bottom carousel below and click on those Prime deals. Feel free to shop those while we talk.
Yep. And that about wraps it up for our electric fountains. I mean, obviously the benefits to an electric fountain is it's really easy to use. When you have it set up and filled and ready to go, all you have to do is plug it in to an outdoor or indoor electrical outlet, depending on whether you're using an indoor or outdoor fountain. And that's all you have to do once you're ready for it to run. It's very simple, easy to understand. You don't have to worry about extra plumbing or anything like that. Next, we wanted to touch on solar fountains. Solar fountains usually come with a solar pump and panel set. And with solar fountains, you're going to have to place that panel in direct sunlight. And that fountain will operate only during daylight hours. It won't come on at night at all. So again, you'll want to make sure, like, if the sun isn't out, your fountain won't be running.
So in the winter, or in the colder months, you're going to want to dry your fountain out, empty it out, make sure there's no water in it. You're going to want to disconnect your pump from your tube and make sure that's all nice and dried out. You're going to want to make sure that pump really has no water in it at all. It's really important to make sure these fountains, like I said, reiterated, like to keep them dry. Like that's the biggest thing. You want to bring them in. But if you not necessarily want to have any storage place, we have these fountain covers.
Yes, fountain covers are a great option if you don't want to bring your fountains in to store, if you don't have any space to store them, if you don't have any outdoor buildings to store them in. All you have to do is make sure you clean out and dry the fountains, remove the pump or the pump and panel set, and bring those indoors, like in a closet or something, to store, and put a fountain cover on top of your fountain and protect it that way. That way it'll protect the life of the fountain, the finish of the fountain.
It'll just make your fountain last
it'll really
a long time.
It'll extend the life of the fountain.
And then for like our indoor ones, you don't necessarily need to do that because they're not outside, but you should still make sure the water in them is clean every once in a while, making sure that water gets changed, making sure that the pump is being cleaned out if it gets dirty.
Yep.
They're not just like, don't just leave the standing water in them at all. That's not a good thing for your fountain.
And I do want to note that water does evaporate, so you do have to refill the fountains as the water level goes lower, because it often happens that people leave their fountains outdoors and they're like, hey, I have to keep refilling my fountain. Why is this? Well, I mean, when the sun is out, water evaporates, and it's just what happens.
Yes, you want to keep an eye on your fountain to make sure that the water isn't evaporating, because if that pump doesn't have enough water to run, the pump is going to try to run without that water. And
that'll really shorten the life of your pump.
It'll shorten the life of your pump. And at some point you'll be able to hear that pump. It'll start to make kind of like a growling, gargling noise, like it's not getting enough water. And hopefully you catch that soon enough, or don't let it get to that point, because that pump will eventually wear itself out that way, and you will have to end up getting a new pump for your fountain.
Absolutely.
So I think we've covered everything that we need to about fountains.
All right.
Thank you for joining us here on Sunnydaze Live. If you haven't already, go check out our hammock video that we did a little bit earlier, so you can learn some about our hammocks, our stands,
And
our
accessories.
accessories.
Yep.
I'm Kylia.
And I'm Alicia, and we hope to see you next time.
Thanks for joining us.